Hello and welcome to my second side episode for the LEGO Retrospectives review. Now, if you've watched part 1, you'll know that basically when I do a LEGO Retrospective, I like to add a bit about what the story of the game is. And because my next one is LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, which is a pretty long story, I thought, why not do 3 episodes, each one focused on a different trilogy of the Star Wars saga, and basically just tell the Star Wars story according to me. Now, hopefully you've watched the first episode, which was on the prequels. This one is on the original trilogy, or as my generation called it, Star Wars. So, I'm going to jump in. Just again, same caveat as last time. I am a huge Star Wars fan. This is a bit of fun, it's a bit of parody, please don't take it too seriously. I do know the real names of things, just having a bit of silly fun using Lego, so please don't be offended if you are a hardcore Star Wars fan. Let's go. So, we're jumping forward 19 years from the events of the prequels, and Anakin and Padme's twins, having grown up in secret and not knowing anything about each other or their true heritage, have grown up very different lives. Leia is a princess, an accomplished diplomat, a military general, and a key resource in the rebellion against Palpatine's empire. Luke is a bored but highly skilled pilot, desperate to leave the family farm and have an adventure of his own. Everyone's favourite space wizard, Darth Vader, eager to end the rebellion with his new, not a moon, planet-destroying space station, captures Leia and destroys her home planet for good measure. Luckily, Leia was able to get word out that she needs help through her droids R2-D2 and C-3PO, though technically 3PO wasn't invited. Even more luckily, due to the cost of living crisis, the Empire recently launched a money-saving scheme and no longer fires on escape pods where there's no readable life orbs on them. Laser energy is extortionate at the moment, and you've got to save those pennies. Crash landing on a desert planet, the droids seek out an old friend of Leia's family. Oh look, we're on Tatooine again. Unfortunately for our intrepid metallic heroes, they're captured by a group of hooded youths with glowing eyes and sold at the local farmer's market. Here they meet Luke, a teenager whose love for buying power converters is just sad. A few plot points later, and Luke finds Leia's message asking for help from Obi-Wan Kenobi. Luke doesn't know an Obi-Wan, but maybe the old hermit, old Ben Kenobi, knows him. Having chased down an R2 gone rogue, Luke finally gets his answer from the man himself. Old Ben is Obi-Wan. I mean, this is a shocking revelation. It's shocking to take in, mind-blowing. Now, if you need to pause the video to take a second to take that in, I totally get it. Now, whether through senility or through plain lying to Luke, Obi-Wan is not familiar with R2-D2, despite the fact that R2 features a lot in the prequels. Plot hole? Let's just say that Obi-Wan is lying to protect Luke from the truth. That's nice and safe. Anyway, Obi-Wan reveals that he knew Luke's father, and that he was killed by a rogue Jedi by the name of Darth Vader. Sort of technically true, but we'll get to that in a bit. A lot of half-truths going on in this scene, thanks to years of retcons, I must say. Anyway, having watched R2's message, Obi-Wan, Leia's only hope, recruits Luke as a trainee space wizard, and they head out to what one TripAdvisor review said was a wretched hive of scum and villainy. Great live music though. Mos Eisley Spaceport. It turns out to be quite a productive visit, as Obi-Wan convinces the local police force he's cool, dismembers the local drunk, and hires a smuggler by the name of Han Solo to take them to Leia's home planet of Alderaan. Unfortunately for them, they're a little surprised by the status change of Alderaan from planet to dust. Adding to their bad luck, the definitely not a moon space station tractor beams them in. A spot of dress up and a bit of shooting later, Princess Leia is rescued, but there's one final problem to deal with. Obi-Wan's old apprentice is on board and he must face him one final time. Now, what promises to be the greatest battle in the galaxy between two of the greatest warriors of the Clone Wars turns out to be a bit of light sparring, a bit of banter, and then Obi-Wan giving up for some reason and letting Vader kill him. Can't help but feel that all the prequel work that's been done since kind of dulled this scene quite a bit, actually. Anyway, Luke, Han and co escape and return Leia to her people. Back with the rebellion, and a plan is agreed on taking down the Not a Moon. Basically, the designer built a small vent that leads straight to the core, a couple of missiles and boom! But we don't find out that that was on purpose until Rogue One retconned it later. Epic space dogfight ensues, Luke does the shooting, uses Jedi magic to hit the spot, Not a Moon goes boom, everybody gets a medal, yay! Fast forward a few years and everyone in the rebellion is now a general, and they're all hiding out on Hoth, a big ball of ice. Following an incident with the local wildlife, Luke ends up needing medical attention. Leia, happy to see him and desperate to make Han jealous, kisses Luke. This is never mentioned again, and probably for the best, as everyone finds out later that they are brother and sister. Awkward. Luckily, the incest is quickly forgotten when Vader tracks them down, awesome snow battle ensues, many rebels get blown to pieces by giant robot dogs, everyone of any importance escapes. Luke, however, having been advised by the voice in his head of Obi-Wan, decides to go off on his own adventure and heads to a swamp planet where he meets Yoda, the legendary Muppet Jedi Master who trains him in the ways of the Ancient Order. Unfortunately, before Luke can complete his training, he has a vision of the future showing all his friends dying at the hands of Vader and heads off to save them. Meanwhile, having evaded the Empire's forces by hiding in the gut of a giant space worm, Han, Leia and the gang find themselves in Cloud City, a city in the clouds, where an old friend of Han's, Lando, runs the place. What Han and Leia don't know is that Lando is playing both sides and has just made a sneaky deal with Vader to use them to get Luke there. Well, that wasn't the original deal, but Vader kept changing it. To add insult to injury, Han's past finally comes back to haunt him with an unpaid debt, seeing him frozen, handed over to a bounty hunter by the name of Boba Fett, the most popular character in the universe with the least amount of lines. Seriously, this guy has barely minutes of screen time in the entire trilogy, says 2 or 3 lines and has more fans than Han Solo. Speaking of which, don't worry, it's not the last time we see him. Having decided that his deal with Vader is no longer profitable to him, Lando says enough is enough and helps Leia and the gang escape. By this time, Luke has arrived at Cloud City and begins a duel with Vader that changed cinema history for the better. It doesn't go well for our hero and he loses a hand, but to be fair, you're not a true Skywalker until you've lost a hand in battle. It's at this point that Vader says the most wrongly quoted movie line of all time. It's, "No, I am your father," not "Luke, I am your father." That being said though, this in 1980 was a major plot twist of epic proportions. Learning the truth and clearly not happy about it, Luke throws himself to what could only be certain death had he not been a main character. Luckily, however, he's rescued by Leia. Fast forward a year, oh look, we're back on Tatooine again. Luke, now a Jedi Knight, pulls off the elaborate rescue of a still frozen Han, taking down a major gangster and bounty hunter in the process. At this point, Luke is basically Batman with space wizard powers. With that all taken care of, the original trilogy finally says goodbye to Tatooine. Forever. But don't worry, Disney Plus had plans to bring it right back to us nearly 4 decades later. Back with the rebellion, and at the expense of many Boffins who died off-screen, we learn that Vader has a even bigger planet-destroying Not a Moon. It's not complete yet though, and the shields are controlled from the surface of an actual moon, Endor. More conveniently, Palpatine himself is on board. It's time to end the Empire for good. Now, despite being way too easy and very clearly an obvious trap, the rebellion sees no better option and plans one less big battle for the fate of the galaxy. Of course, it turns out to be a trap, but thankfully this has led to an endless supply of reasons to quote Admiral Akbar in real life, so it was worth it. Thankfully, all of the main characters make it to the surface and team up with the Care Bears to take down the shields. In an effort to buy the team on the ground a bit more time, Luke surrenders to Vader. Before this happens, however, Leia reveals that she's always known that Luke was her brother. Now let's rewind a little bit. That kiss. Now let's move on very quickly. Now, father-son bonding doesn't really come naturally to Darth, but he tries. He wants his son to join the family business of ruling the galaxy. Luke has other plans though, and things escalate quickly, shall we say. Meanwhile, Han, Leia and the Care Bears win the day on the ground. Lando and the rebels break the defences of the Empire and head into the inners of the Nottamoon looking to destroy the core. And whilst all this is going on, all this death and destruction, Luke, Vader and Palpatine are having a nice chat about good versus evil. As the Emperor reveals to Luke that the entire plot of the final act was all his way of getting all the rebellion together so he could destroy them for good. Well, apart from the Care Bears, I mean, even the all-seeing Sith didn't see them getting involved. Luke loses his cool and a final battle between father and son begins. During said battle, the chat continues, with Luke trying to convince a very clearly angry Vader that Anakin's good side still exists within him. Palpatine gets involved, and while on the verge of killing Luke, Vader suddenly realises he can be good again and saves his son by throwing his boss down a large shaft. Beautiful fairy tale ending. Unfortunately, Anakin's late arrival leaves him fatally wounded just as Lando and co reach and destroy the core. With just minutes to escape, not a single member of the Empire's crew questions why a rebel is helping their boss flee the area. Now reaching a ship to escape, Anakin reveals his true form to Luke, and they have one true father-son moment where all is forgiven, including, the galaxy, planet destroying, all of it. And then Vader sadly passes away. Now finally, the core explodes. The rebellion wins the day. They have a party with a lot of fireworks, and the ghosts of Obi-Wan, Yoda and Anakin pop by to join in. The end. But thanks to Disney, it's not. So there you go, there's the original trilogy covered. Again, I hope I haven't offended any Star Wars fans. As I said, I love Star Wars and this is just a bit of fun. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please do subscribe, please do like, please do share. Tell the world about this wonderful video. And I'll be back very soon with part 3, the sequel trilogy. That's going to be fun. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.